everyone, welcome back to Creatively Crafted Life. I'm Melanie.
I'm Lela.
And we're back for another coffee break. As we mentioned a couple weeks ago, we were going to do a regular installment where Lela and I are just going to hang out and talk about crafty things in our coffee break or tea break.
Tea break. Or whatever other beverage you take when you take a break, right?
Yeah, I guess if it's in the evening, it could be a wine break, you know.
There you go.
So
we might have to film one of those. That might be interesting.
Good thing it's only 15 minutes-ish. Won't get too interesting. In our last coffee break, you mentioned crafty goals. And so I think that would be a great conversation point for today's little 15 minutes. Lela, why don't you start off? Tell me what your crafty goals are for 2023.
Hello, 2023, right? It's that time of year. I always love to make goals, and I don't know about you, but I usually get excited about them in October. I'm always curious when people start thinking about, the next year. And for me, for whatever reason, in pretty much even my work goals, October is when I kind of start getting the ideas together for the next year. But for this year, at least for the first quarter, my crafty goal is to get some of my trips. I'm going to be focused on travel scrapbooking.
Oh, fun.
Yeah, I have a ton of trips that I've taken, especially a big international trip I took a couple years ago. I haven't done a lot with it. It's sitting there haunting me. All the memorabilia is ready. Everything's sorted, Mel. I have all the paper, probably more paper than I need, but you know how you are. You're like, oh, that'll go great with my trip. And
so before you get off of this, I have a bunch of questions about your travel album for this specific trip and why it's taking you so long. So let's table that for another coffee break, because I'd love to hear about why it has taken you a couple of years to get started, and like what about 2023 was like, this is the year I'm going to get it done. So we're going to table that. Okay. And we'll talk about it on another session. Anyways, okay. So what else are you going to focus on?
Okay. And so I also each year want to get the previous year's scrapbooks finished. I am one of those people that loves to scrap in the present, is what I call in the present, or pretty close to now. And I really, really struggle when pictures get, when I'm farther out or farther distance from pictures. I wish I didn't, right? Because I have a lot of books to get done when my kids were young, but I tend to like to scrap and look at the books that are closer to what's happening right now. And so I definitely got to get busy on 2022. I did have a busy travel year, and even though I travel for work, I still take photos, and because I'm in lots of different cities, and try to always see something fun and had my niece and nephew up. So I've got quite a great 2022 year going, and so I've got to get busy on that. But I'm hoping to kind of start that in March. I really want to just focus the first quarter and kind of break this year up into quarters. Something new. I haven't tried that before, just to kind of see if I'm more motivated, by
with a tighter deadline kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, and I say deadline in quotation marks because, of course, there's no hard and fast rule, right? Like if you don't get it done, it's not like, the scrapbook police are going to come after you.
Right. But I am one of those people, kind of like you, that when I have a goal and I'm pretty self-motivated, so it does kind of motivate me to get it done. And, I have some fun products. Close to my heart came out with a travel line for January through March. That kind of inspired me as well to, think about pulling out all those travel papers and all of that, different items that go with it too. And if you could see my floor here, you would see that I kind of have it staged as well. So I'm going to see if that helps me, because I am like you. Sometimes I can be a little bit lazy and don't want to dig through, right? I kind of grab what's close. So this way, by pulling that stuff out, I'm hoping to use a little bit more of it and have it easily accessible, and that will.
It's almost like having a kit, really, in some ways, right? You have a kit of supplies that are on your desk, or that you can easily pull onto your desk. That's awesome. Are you are you purchasing any of the current Close to My Heart travel line to incorporate into this album, or do you have enough already that you're going to stay away from it?
Well, I probably have enough, right? But I do like the new line that came out. And since it's inspiring me, I am going to use that for a certain section of my trip. So I'm going to use that line for Venice. I spent 4 days in Venice, and I'm going to use that line of paper and products for that section of my trip in Venice.
Okay, that's awesome. Actually, if you send me the link to your website, Close to My Heart, I'll include it in the description below. So if anybody who's joining us for our coffee break is interested, they can check out that information just by clicking the link in the description below.
Oh yeah, that'll be fun. It's some fun travel paper, and I'm not always inspired to do, obviously the trip is still sitting here by travel papers. I have travel papers, but I'm hoping that this inspires me to get that trip done.
Yeah, sometimes new product is just, just the little nudge that you need to get things going. So that's awesome. Well, how long do you think it's going to take you to do the album?
It has. So this is kind of crazy. That trip is going to be multiple albums.
Right.
And I am doing it in sections. So we started out in New York City, and I have almost all of the New York album done.
Oh, okay.
So, and it won't be a big album, but I just wanted to do it in sections. I felt like that was the easiest way to break it up. Yeah. And then from there, we flew to France. And a terrific week in France with some of my work teammates, because I went a work trip, and then my best friend, right? And she's a scrapbooker. So you can imagine and a photographer. So you can imagine how many photos we have. That could be part of the problem. Okay. And so, I'll probably have a couple albums of France, and then, or maybe, yeah. And then from there, I went with my family. They were going on a trip right from there. So I went to Venice for a few days. And then after Venice, I did a cruise with my aunts around Italy.
That's awesome. I can see why you would split them into different components, because they are very different, both in their nature and in location. So that totally makes sense.
And completely different people that I was with. They just happened to run consecutively, but yeah.
Right. Yeah. That makes sense. But you don't have like a set goal that you're hoping to get it finished by end of 2023, or you are?
Oh, yes.
Okay. That's the goal.
I'm really hoping to have that travel album done by June, Melanie. We always think a little shorter time, but I'd love to get that trip done. It is sitting here, the pictures are all printed and ready, and
it's time. It's time
to get it in the books.
I am not quite as defined as you in my goals. I have more of a general overview, and I think a lot of it stems from the work that I've been doing in my craft room, like purging and getting rid of stuff. And really my goal is to use more of what I have, buy less, primarily because I need to use more of what I have, right? So if I keep bringing more stuff in, I'm just going to have more stuff that I haven't used. And just to get back to scrapbooking a little bit, I spent a lot of last year making cards and organizing, and I felt like I kind of dropped scrapbooking a little bit. So unlike you, I am totally not into the current scrapbooking. I basically scrap whatever I feel like, and a lot of times I feel like I'm product driven. So if I have a particular piece of paper or something like that that inspires me, then I will go find the photos to fit that, and so I'm all over the place. But I would like to finish 2010. I know. So
I think I've seen that goal before.
Yeah, I didn't get done last year. It was last year's goal, but it didn't happen. I do put all my stuff in chronological albums. So there is a start and a finish for each year, which is why I'm saying 2010. But I have a little bit of 2016 done, a little bit of 2022. I've got a little bit of everything all over the place. So yeah.
I actually do too. Like I have, albums for each year, right?
Yeah.
Started. I just don't like you know, if I am motivated by a product or an idea, or you know, some, all of a sudden some photos, I'll get out an old box and try to get
Right.
some done. Yeah, that's
But your
fun too.
primary focus is on getting last year's documented, and then those are more like fill in the blanks kind of thing. Is that correct?
Those are more fill in the blanks, right?
Yeah.
If I'm playing along with, you know, like a scrap challenge, or you know, something fun like that, or
Right. That makes sense. I started probably about 3 or 4 years ago, a month in review album. And it's basically just a 1 month representation of each month of the calendar year. So I have those up to date up until the end of 2021. So I do want to get 2022 done. So at least, if nothing else, I have something documented from last year, like the year's represented. So if nothing else gets documented, you know, something should happen. At least I have that much, you know, in the books, so to speak. So that is on my list. I'm also participating in 2 collaborations next year. I'm going to do the Smash Your Stash one again, which is in fitting with my using up my supplies, right?
Right.
So in previous years, that's been a lot of fun. It's challenged me to look at my supplies in a different way, and how can I use it, or how can I make it more exciting again? So that is that one posts, I believe, on the 7th of every month. So that's kind of fun. And then the new one I'm starting is Blitz Your Kits, where we are taking a kit, and over a course of 2 months, we're trying to use up the entire kit. So I subscribe to the Scrapbooking Cards SCT Sampler Kit is what it's called. And it's just a small little kit that represents 2 different lines that have recently come out in the industry. And I love getting the kits because I love having that influx of new and current product. But I'm behind. I have about a year and a half of them, you know, sitting on my shelf. So I'm going to try and focus on at least using some of those up this year. So that's another part of my list.
That's always fun because they send you all sorts of little things, right? So you'll have some embellishments and some paper and you know, different.
And it's not overwhelming. It's not like a kit that has like 12 by 12 pieces of cardstock, right? You get a sampling, so you're only getting a portion of each page. So it is completely doable to use that up. I just have to make an effort to do them.
I loved last year when we did the Valentine's kit and we used the whole thing. Like it's gone. I had, you know, little tiny pieces.
Should probably do something like that again this year. Maybe challenge ourselves midway through the year to use up a kit or something in our stash. For those of you that have been following me for a while, last year was February, right? January and February, I think it was. Yeah. We did a series of videos where we created a bunch of projects using a Close to My Heart kit, and we shared those projects on the video. I will leave a link to the playlist, I think, in the description below. So if you want to check those out.
It was fun because we both used the same papers, but completely different.
Yeah, that was cool. It was cool to see each other's take on it. And that's what's so fun about crafting, right? Like everybody can take something that's the same and come up with something totally different. So those are kind of my crafty things from the YouTube whole perspective. Obviously, this is something new, right? So I'm also going to be doing another kind of conversation chit chat video with Nikki from Nikki's Scrapbooking Adventures. And I think that'll be interesting because she's quite a bit younger than I am, and she's got a young family. I'm single. So it'd be interesting to have conversations to see our different takes on, you know, things that we're up to and doing this year.
Oh, yeah. She's got a very unique way too about, you know, she's got a limited amount of time and she gets in there and gets it done. Yeah, she's very inspiring.
Yeah, very absolutely. Fun. So I will leave Nikki's link to Nikki's channel below too for those of you that are interested in checking her out. I think we're going to be posting those once a month about the 23rd. So depending when this one airs, it could be before or after. But yeah, that's going to be something a little bit fun. And then the other thing I want to do is I want to learn how to do YouTube shorts. You know, those little short 1-minute videos.
Yeah.
It sounds like it should be easy if I'm already doing this, but it's hard to condense something into less than a minute, right? So,
Right.
and still convey. So I don't know. We'll see how that goes, but I want to play around with that a little bit. That's my development goal for the year.
There you go. Well, we'll have to check back like in June and see how we're doing. We'll do a 6-month checkup.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I think that's it. Did you have any other goals that you wanted to talk about?
No, are you going to try any new crafting ideas this year? I mean, we're both scrappers and stampers, but is any new hobby coming into your crafty life?
I really shouldn't bring anything new into my life. That's for sure. I'm busy enough, but I haven't, how do I put this? I've been contemplating starting something called a temperature blanket. And it's a crocheting project where every day of the year you crochet a row for a blanket, and each row's color is determined by the temperature. So you have like a chart with different colors. If it's 80 degrees Fahrenheit, you use blue, example, right? If it's 100, you use red. And so then at the end of the day, you get this completely random throw blanket that has all these different colors on it. Now, I say I'm contemplating this, and we're already well into January. So if I do this, I'm going to have to play catch up. So I'm not sure. Plus, I'm not sure what it'll be like crocheting with yarn in September. By then the thing's going to be quite long and it's going to be quite hot. So I don't know. I like the idea of it, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
How about you? Are you going to pick up anything new?
I don't know. I saw some flyers and some things for some different, the Arts Council here in my area has some different classes. So I might go try my hand at, a little bit of pottery, or there had some resin jewelry making, and just
that's
maybe
fun.
try something like that. But probably I'm like you, my, hobby craft time is limited, and I tend to like my scrapping and stamping. So probably it'll stay there, but I'm going to try a couple new things this year, I hope.
Well, the nice thing with doing classes is you don't tend to have to invest a whole lot of money into all the tools and supplies.
Right.
Quite often they will, supply some of the stuff like a kiln, if you're going to get it into pottery. So it's good to take a class. Sometimes I do that just to get that kind of creative bug out of me, where I'm like, oh, I just want to do something different. I'll take a class and just give it a try. I did watercolor a few years ago, and that was good. The problem with some of that stuff, like drawing and watercolor, is I'm not practiced enough, right? So I think I could develop my skills, because I think anybody who practices enough can develop, can make improvements. But because I'm not that good, it takes me a long time to do it. And so, it's hard to fit that in, right? Whereas like a scrapbook page, I can get done in 30 minutes, right? So it's just a little bit easier to condense it into the busy schedule. But I don't know. Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Right? See what we're inspired by, right?
Yep, exactly. Well, if you do take any of those classes, we're gonna expect you to show us your results.
Wear my jewelry.
You got it. Bring in your vase or
my leaning. We'll see what I get to. Okay. I always think that I want to do it, but it all comes down to scheduling. So
well, yeah, because and sometimes you just have to do it, right? Like you just have to sign up and make it work.
Yep, hope for the best.
Yep, exactly. Yeah. Well, thanks for hanging out with me. It was a lot of fun chit-chatting. Here's to the next coffee break.
Yeah, here's to our next coffee break.
Okay, we'll see you later. Have a good one.
All right.